Hey there, Start here. Not much else going on this week, so I figured I could do a Clash of Wills prep video. I haven't done one of these in a bit, I don't think. I used to try and do them for every Clash of Wills, but since I became casual, it's just like things got crazy with life, and then the game just kind of fell off. But since there's really nothing else to do, and I've got some free time, I figured I'd go over what I'm planning for the upcoming Clash of Wills. Of course, we get a new Clash of Wills unit to go with it, and the unit is Zyrus. I do have a little bit of a soft spot for Zyrus, just because Roberta is one of my favorite units and characters from the game, and Roberta and Zyrus sort of have this unspoken history with each other, and so I did remember, when Roberta came out, as the original 5-star that she was when she first came out. Zyrus was the 4-star on the banner, and the idea was that Zyrus was like this dragon slayer, and Roberta was like the lover and protector of dragons. And so Zyrus, potentially killed a dragon that was close to Roberta, and she forever hunted him for it, and so they sort of had this rivalry. Now we have a Neovision Plus Blood Mage Zyrus. Now you would think with like a name like Blood Mage, he would be a dark elemental unit, but no, of course he's water, because we're all about water with these recent units. The water team is sort of the first NV Plus elemental team to come out, so of course Zyrus is going to be water. Personally, I'm not pulling for him. I'm not going for a water team. I don't have the units for it. I didn't get Ong. I don't have the new Rain. I certainly don't have the new Laswell. So water. I just don't have the units to field a water team, and so Zyrus makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense for me to pull for Zyrus, really. Even if I don't rank one in Clash of Wills. Because I don't have, the latest, greatest units, whatever. I mean, ranking one in Clash of Wills has kind of lost a bit of its inherent value, because the rewards simply aren't that good. And with the whole Mania mode and like the Focus Plus units and all of this stuff, it's become a little bit more labor intensive and less fun. I don't want to say it's more challenging. Like when they expanded all the when they expanded the Focus Plus units and all the Clash of Wills units get Vertex abilities, that really opened up the team possibilities, which I liked. But the boss last month wasn't really all that challenging. Now this one's the last of the month, so maybe it'll be a little bit more difficult. But again, I'm not too fussed if I don't rank one. If I can, great. I'm certainly going to try, but I'm not gonna sweat it. The clear rewards are much better than the ranking rewards, and so that's the primary concern is, can I clear up to level 99 and get all those clear rewards? That's my primary my first order of business, and then I'll worry about rank 1. But he's got a step up with a special card. You get some of these rate up on these units. Personally, I don't think any of these units are particularly good. Jecht, he might be a great tank for this one, because this clash might require a physical tank, and he is a water-based tank. So if you are fielding a water team, like you've got Ong or you've got the new Rain, and you can field a water team, Jecht might be a great slot in for your physical tank here. Flaring Ether Rain is kind of, I'm not really sure why he's on this one with a water team. Same thing goes with Leftia. I mean, I guess because technically fire and light are one of the weaknesses on this boss. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you're bringing Flaring Ether Rain to this fight. I really don't think you're bringing Leftia to this fight. So those two are kind of, I don't know. I will say that Flaring Ether Rain does get some good, he got them on the JP server. Who knows what he'll get here, but Flaring Ether Rain is due for some updates. He's going to get some updates to his mod, his LB mod. He's supposed to get some like EX abilities. I think he's even supposed to get a Neovision Plus Awakening at some point. And so and that could be coming up soon. I'm not really sure. That may be why they're putting him on this step up banner, sort of in anticipation for that. So, you know, if you do pick up a few Flaring Ether Rains, you know, you might be in good shape for that awakening whenever that comes along. Princess of Cornelia Sarah, I'll talk about her a bit later on, but she's good for some killer buffs for this particular Clash of Wills. So she's not a bad unit to have. She's one of those support units that comes with like the 250% single target killers, and she's particularly good for this one because she has 250% to dragon and aquatic. So yeah, so she's got that going for her. But yeah, I think it's going to be your standard, like if you just do the regular pity, it's 45,000 for the pity. If you want to go all the way and get the card, I think it shakes out to like 50,000 or something for a pity. So it's not like he's not a premium unit or anything. He's not, you know, it's not 60,000 as far as I can tell, right? It's not 60,000. Yeah, I haven't actually looked at the math, but it just looked like a standard 45k banner, which would make sense because Laswell was 45,000 for a pity, so why would they make Zyrus more expensive? I'm not particularly impressed by Zyrus, though, because he's just a pure mage. He's an SLB mage. He is a pure water mage, which means you cannot imbue him with other elements, so you are locked to water with this guy. And that right away turns me off. You know, I gotta say no. I do not like to be locked to an element. I prefer elemental flexibility. He does have an EX ability that you get at EX3, 500 mag for Clash of Wills category units. Okay, and yeah, there's nothing really exciting here. His Vertex ability looks like basically a copy of Ong's, but for mages, and then. Yeah, he's got some obviously he's going to have some killers to the current Clash of Wills, but it looks like they're single target, which, you know, he doesn't have the support tag, so I don't expect him to be providing killers to the party. And so without that, I'm not particularly impressed. This unit just looks a bit empty to me, and just looks like a DPS unit that's, you know, going to make people go, wow, big PP, and that's about it. That just doesn't impress me. There is a special vision card on the step up banner, which might be worth it if you're, you know, because it does have, oh, that's not the one I'm looking for. Yeah, Warden of the Aquapolis. So they finally increased the base stats on these special cards. They used to be sitting at like, I think 130 or 140. Now they're at 160, which is, you know, just slightly lower than a typical premium card, but it's certainly better than what we've been getting in the past. And the nice thing about this one is that it comes with the Aquan Killer. That's that middle ability right there, which is, and you can. It's not for caster only. You can actually give it to somebody else. So like in Dark Visions, you could give it to Zahn and then spread it to everybody. And Aquan Killers are a bit hard to come by in this game. There aren't too many units with Aquan Killer. We'll talk about some of them later on when I'm going over support units in the Clash of Wills prep. But yeah, I mean, if you're going for Zyrus, I think you might as well do the step up for the card, because this is probably one of the more worthwhile ones to get, just because Aquan Killers are a bit harder to come by in the game. But, you know, don't pull on the banner just for the card. I don't think it's worth it that much. But yeah, it's neat. All right, and you know, that's pretty much it. We got the next story. I was really hoping they'd do the Grace of Water trial, but it's like, you've got a unit, you've got a special vision card, you've got the Espers of Destruction chapter 4, and then you got Clash of Wills, and like that's it. That's all we have this week. I mean, that's basically the news for you right there. It's not much else to talk about. So let's just go ahead and jump into the Clash of Wills. So, as has already been stated by several people, this is just another reskinned old sprite. And in fact, this one's even lazier than the last one. It's literally just a copy pasta of a sprite in the game, and they've just changed the color palette. You know, the last Clash of Wills boss was a ripoff of the Dark Dragon, but they at least drew like a little sun on its chest and gave it some like angel wings. This one they literally just, you know, did a palette swap. There are about a half a dozen of these hydras in the game with different color palettes, and they just took one of those and changed the color palette. So clearly the art department has taken a huge hit. Budget cuts are just slashing away here. But Thalassa is an aquatic dragon beast. You know, dragon and beast are a bit more common on the killers. Aquatic is going to be the one that's sort of more difficult for people to either build for or to find for a killer. The weaknesses are water, dark, fire, and light. Water is almost certainly going to be the main weakness, meaning it's going to have an innate 40% imperil. My guess is that dark is going to be the other main weakness, because if the schedule follows the way it did in JP, we should be getting Envy plus Dark Fina and Chaos Bismarck next week, and they are dark units. So dark is sort of the next element in the Envy plus meta. Envy plus Dark Fina being just like a dark mage, Chaos Bismarck being a dark breaker. And so my guess is that dark is going to be the other main weakness, and then fire and light are just going to be neutral. All right. And so we'll have to wait and see when it actually drops what the main weaknesses are. But my guess is that water and dark will be the mains. Fire and light are going to be neutral. All right. So already go ahead and start thinking about, you know, which element you have, which element is stronger for you. Water or dark. Of course, if you're just doing a clear only level 99, you can easily use any of those 4 elements, I would say. So for rank 1, you probably want to stick to the main weakness, but if you're just clearing to level 99, you could easily field a team of any one of those 4 elements, I should think. It says it uses non-elemental physical attacks and water and dark magic attacks. So when I see that, I'm immediately thinking we'll probably want a physical tank, and we'll want elemental buffs for the magic damage. So seeing as they put Ject on the banner, again, that's another sort of hint that they probably want you to bring a physical tank. And since they're non-elemental physical attacks, obviously you won't be able to resist them unless, of course, as we've learned in the last 2 clashes, you can just bring units that imbue the boss and then resist them that way. I can already tell you with a dark weakness, being a dragon beast, non-elemental physical attacks, like your mind should immediately go to Melissa, who can, of course, buff the party, but does the 100% dark amp for the party. She can be your dark support. She also has dragon and beast killers in her kit, and she can imbue the boss with dark for up to 4 turns. So right away, Melissa should be at the top of your list for bringing to this Clash of Wills. Even if you're not going dark element and you're going to go water, you're probably still going to want to bring Melissa on your party. Now, if it turns out that it's not doing that many physical attacks, and you can use Mirage or Imbues, and then just bring a magic tank to cover the magic attacks, so you don't have to worry about elemental resistances. Maybe that's a thing. I'm thinking about bringing Esther and maybe even Omni tanking, just building up her resistances to water and dark so that she covers the magic damage, and then obviously Omni covering, she'll have a nice stacked defense stat so she can cover that. We'll see. I'm not really sure. Obviously I'll play with it when we get in there, but those are just some of my thoughts. Reduces party's parameters, water, dark resistance, of course. I mean, I don't even know why they include that. Of course, it's going to break us and reduce the elements that it uses. That should be a given at this point. Inflicts and reduces resistance to poison, sleep, paralysis, confusion, and stone. So those are all the nasty ones. Well, poison, not really so much, but sleep, paralysis, confusion, and stone, those are all the big nasties. Those are the ones you definitely don't want. So obviously make sure you are bringing somebody who buffs resistances to those, and build your units with resistances to those. Now the question is whether or not the bonus mods will include the reduction of ailment resistance. Hopefully it does not, because that always causes problems in this game. But yeah, so you'll want to build your units with resistances and bring somebody on top of that who can boost resistances to that, to all of those. All right, so Melissa, of course, covers that. She's a support unit. She's got you covered there. It will counter if not dealt fire, water, light, or dark damage. So basically, like every other cow boss, you want to hit it with one of its weaknesses, because if you don't, it will do some kind of counter that will make life miserable for you, right? What it doesn't say is whether or not it will counter if you hit it with an off element. So a lot of the Clash bosses recently have been doing something nasty to you if you hit it with one of its non-weak elements. Doesn't say anything about that here, so I'm not sure if that's going to be included in the AI. But yeah, just be aware of that. Previous Clash bosses have also done, done really nasty things to your party if you hit them with something that's not an innate weakness. All right, so boosting status amulet resistance is going to be a big morale booster on this one, so keep that in mind. So like basically what that means is like every turn you want to boost your status amulet resistance, at least early on when you're trying to build up morale really quick. So having someone like Melissa, having her use her immune her ailment immunity skill every turn will will increase morale dramatically for you every turn. If you're not, if you don't have Melissa, somebody on your party surely has something that will boost your status ailment resistance. So just do that. Make sure you do that every turn, just to give you a nice big morale boost. And of course, the morale action added to this one is increasing your water and dark resistance by 150% for all allies. All right. So here they've listed the Focus Plus and the regular focus. So the regular focus is pretty much all the JP units, collab units, except for the ones that are listed in the Focus Plus category. So that really hasn't changed. Any Final Fantasy character from like a Final Fantasy series or JP Anniversary or like Another World as your collabs, right? Or any rewards units. The Focus Plus ones this time, the main one I want to point out is Avalanche's Tifa. We all got a free one. A lot of people probably have an EX3 Tifa just because you've pulled, a bunch of her. She was like one of the first premium Neovisions to come out, so she's been out for a while. You probably have quite a few of them. She is a Focus Plus unit, so even if you're not planning on doing a water team, it might be worth it to bring her along just for the Focus Plus. And if you are doing a water team, she can honestly, I mean, she's a Neovision Plus unit. She can honestly dish out some damage. She'll have the Focus Plus will add another 100 times modifier to her LB. So I think if you give her a preemptive LB boost and with a stack on her LB, that brings it up to like a 630 times modifier for the first 5 turns. So, I mean, obviously you have to build up your morale high enough to get access to the Focus Plus by that time. But, I mean, she'll be able to chip in a bit of damage for you. So she won't be a totally dead slot other than Focus Energy. So, something to consider. Obviously, all the Esper of Destruction units, the mana units are in there. Setzer, Physalis, and Metzi are also in there. So, you've got a few units, but Tifa's kind of the one to point out because she's the free unit. All the rest of the units on here are banner units that you would have had to pull. So Avalanche Tifa is the only one that is free this time. The last few Clash of Wills, there were a lot of free units. There was like Regis was huge because he was the NVA that you could easily get to 3-star. We had what's his name, Gladio, who was given away for free, right? And so there were a lot more free Focus Plus units in the last 2 Clash of Wills than this one. This one, it's pretty much like, well, hopefully you pulled for one of these units, or or you had enough Avalanche Tifas to get her a decent EX level. But yeah, but as we saw in the last one, if you can bring enough regular focus units, generally you can get away with just having like 2 or 3 regular focus units and just have them basically build it up for you, right? Because they increase the amount of focus on a regular focus unit. So keep that in mind. Like for example, last Clash, I think I only had 2 regular focus units on my team for my rank 1 clear, and that was enough. It may not be enough on this one. We're just gonna have to wait and see. Something to keep in mind. All right, let's see. Was there anything? I don't think there was anything new. They haven't done anything new with the high Celestite gear, but they just introduced it this season, so we'll probably get updates on it next time. I haven't actually crafted any of this gear yet. I bought the recipes for all of them, I just went ahead and got, because the recipes are cheap. They're like 250 Xenostone. What's expensive are the high Celestite orbs. So that's the really expensive thing. I think they're like 3,000. Maybe it's like 1,000. Maybe it's 1,000 for each. But it takes like 5 orbs to craft just one of these pieces of gear. So like, yeah, that's sort of the limiting factor, is the high Celestite orbs. But I went ahead and grabbed the recipes, and then I'm just going to kind of wait and see what they do with this gear next season. I suspect they'll do some upgrades to this gear next season, but we'll just have to wait and see, because the stats on these are still dreadful. They're just absolutely dreadful. And I've talked about the drop shop before. I think I talked about it in the last one that I did. Really, Nora and Dwayne are the only units worth pulling on if you don't already have them. And the materials are okay. I mean, 80% resists and 50% HP is nice. Warrior's Bulwark is, I think it's definitely worth it having at least one of those, because it does have that Stalwart Heart ability, which increases stop and charm resist to the party, and that's something you can put on anybody. So you can turn anybody into sort of a stop and charm resist unit. You don't have to use Lakshmi anymore. And so that's kind of nice to have. I think it's definitely worth having at least one of those. And you might as well get 2, because they're only 1,000 drops a piece. So unless you're like really struggling and you really want to get, I don't know, a bunch of these units for whatever reason, you can. But yeah, I mean, the materials are always pretty interesting. So I don't think there's anything else interesting. I think the ranking or the scoring is all pretty much the same as it was from the last one. Yeah, we're still doing the 10 turns clears again. So we're back to 10 turns, number of effective attacks, total morale gained. I don't see, it's interesting, I don't actually see the final morale value on here anymore. I see total morale gained, number of turns per clear, but I don't see the final morale value. Have they finally done away with that? That would be excellent. Because honestly, like, that's the one that kind of ticks me off the most, because like you can be about to kill the boss, and then he does like a whole bunch of morale or something like that, and on the turn right before you kill him, and then it just totally ruins your rank 1 clear. It looks like that's gone. Unless that's a typo or something like that. But no, I think they're back to total morale gained over the course of the battle. So that's great. That's really good. Okay, cool. And that's pretty much it. Oh, I will note, it says at the top, you can obtain Azure Pearls from the individual rewards. So we now have an example of another source of Azure Pearls. They're probably going to do this for other content too. Maybe they'll add them to like Dark Visions rewards if we ever get another Dark Visions or Vision World. I guess, we'll have to wait until May to find out about that. Maybe for other events. It looks like based on the adventure rewards, we should be getting some other kind of event next week, for where it's probably going to be like a raid or a King Mog event or something like that. Hopefully we get Azure Pearls from those as well, because as has been stated in previous news, the Azure Pearl dungeon, which exists in JP, like a new dungeon comes out every week where you can grind it for Azure Pearls. That does not exist in Global, because Global just doesn't want to produce content anymore. They're just kind of done. They're just going to do Clash of Wills once a month and forget about everything else. And so, everyone's wondering, how are we going to get more Azure Pearls? And here's an example of where we're going to get them. I don't know how much we're going to get. The hope would be that we would get at least 300, at least enough to awaken 1 unit from the clear rewards. If it's anything less than that, I think that's just atrocious. So it better be at the very least 300 Azure Pearls for clear rewards from this. But anyways, that's enough ranting. So now let's talk a little bit about some of the units. I'll tell you, what I have planned, what I have in store for my teams, and go over some units that might be useful for the current Clash of Wills. So we're going to hop in here. All right, and I'm going to start with my first turn kill team. I always like to just go ahead and build out an FTKO team so that as soon as I get into the game after maintenance, I can just go in and hopefully clear out all the way up to level 99 with a first turn kill team. And so this is the team that I'm going. I am going Dark Element because I highly suspect that Dark will be the other main weakness. If I am proven wrong, I still think Dark is a very strong element. If you have Elisperis, because she can do a massive Imperil and Imperil field. So even if Dark is just a plain old, 0% neutral weakness, having Elisperis on the party can still, I think having Elisperis will still allow me to first turn kill with this party. And so the idea here is that Frosty here will use his Katana Flick to dispel any buffs that the boss has up, and then we'll use his Arcane Stimulant, or Arcane Supplementation, sorry. I keep saying Arcane Stimulant, that's from Kruznik. Arcane Supplementation to do the full buff to the party. That's the 450 stat buff and 350 LB buff. So that's basically his job on turn 1. Roka is here obviously for not only the big leader skill, but also she does some considerable dark damage in her own right. So she'll obviously do her Brave Shifted LB on turn 1. Melissa, obviously here for the Dark Imbue, and also for the killer buffs to Beast and Dragon. Elisperis is really, she's just here to crank out the big 170 Imperil with the 40% Imperil field and the Omni Weapon Imperil. So she does a 50% Katana Imperil and 40% to all other weapon types, which is really great. And so that's what she's going to be doing here. I'm not entirely sold on Tyvis. I put him in there just because he's a strong unit, and the boss will be somewhat weak to, it's probably going to be neutrally weak to white. And, Elisperis's Imperil does 170 to dark and ice, but then it does 150 to all the rest. So he'll still have a pretty good Imperil, and he will be imbued with dark, so he'll kind of go dual element on that one. He's still a very, very strong unit, and I'm really kind of just using him to chain with Roka. And then, Hio is going to be bringing the big boy damage because he's got the full 650 LB mod right out of the gate, and he's just going to come in and sort of clean up the mess at the end. I'm not entirely sure. I've got Tyvis just built to use his Brave Shifted LB. I might try his Meteor skill. We'll see which one shakes out and which one does better. But this is the team that I have planned for a first turn kill. I'll go over some of the gear real quick. The gear for Frosty is irrelevant. For Roka, just kind of building her for full-on mag. She is a premium unit, so building her for killers is pretty easy. Wing clipping is a great material because it has Beast and Dragon Killer on it, 50%. That's from a previous Clash of Wills, if you have it. Barbaricia's Spirit's nice because it has 50% Beast Killer on it. And yeah, that's pretty much it, but she doesn't need too much. I think she's capped on everything. She's got 300 Beast, 300 Aquatic, and only 250 Dragon. That's all right. That's whatever. She does have Leviathan Esper for the Aquan Killer. All right. Melissa, her gear is irrelevant. It's a first turn kill. Same thing goes with Elisperis. She's just here to support. As for Tyvis, so just full on attack gear. He does need chain cap boost. Sildur's Protection is a great material for this one. 50% Dragon and Aquatic on a 3-star base unit, the 3-star Ferris. So hopefully you have like a billion of these, because you probably have, you've probably bulk fused enough Ferrises to have like 10 of these TMRs in your inventory. They're going to be great for this one. And then, yeah, Chains of Strength and Coated the Samurai to finish capping his killers. His own vision card because he's EX3. I do have Ifrit on him, which has the Beast Overkiller. So don't forget, Ifrit has Overkillers to Beast. So if you have the resources to do that, to get that Overkiller on that could be useful on this particular Clash of Wills. All right, Hio. Again, just full on damage in his Brave Shift form. At EX2, he gets full chain cap, so you don't need to worry about any chain cap gear. Yeah, and all he needs is just a little bit of extra Aquan Killer, some Beast Killer. Code of the Samurai helps cap all of that up because I gave him Odin Esper, which has the Overkiller on Dragon. So you see he's got the 50% Overkiller. So again, if you have the resources for that, to do the Overkiller on Odin Esper, then that might be worth it for this particular Clash of Wills. So that's my idea for a first turn kill team. Hopefully it works, it might not. If it does, I'll of course put it in a video for you guys on day one. I usually do my first turn kill team day one and get that video out of the way. I usually also do a 3-turn team that's usually like a little bit less gear intensive and gear heavy, and I'll show you that team that I intend to do. So whereas my first turn kill team will be a dark team, my 3-turn kill is going to be a water team. And I want to bring in NV plus Tifa because you guys have probably seen I've done quite a few videos with my Neovision plus Tifa. And so of course I want to bring her in and demonstrate her power and ability in the current, in the upcoming Clash of Wills, because it's really the only content out there for her to do right now. So this is the team I have in mind. Maeve is just there to tank. She does have Beast and Dragon mitigations in her kit. She also has Beast and Dragon killers in her kit, which is really great. She can also be there to provide our ailment resistance. She does have ailment resist in her kit. So I think she's going to be really great. And this is just for a no mods clear, by the way. So like, I don't think Maeve is going to be particularly good in a rank 1 clear. She probably can't actually tank it in a rank 1 clear, but maybe, I don't know. Again, we'll have to just wait and see how that shakes out. Lightning is here, of course, for the leader skill, but she's also pretty strong in her own right. So she's a DPS and she's the leader skill because she's the only leader I have really for Tifa. Nickel is, of course, he's here for the Water Imbue for the party. He also has Aquan and Beast Killers in his kit. It's only 100%, but it's nice to know that he's got that in his kit. He can also do a 50% Imperil field, which will be really, really nice. Kaito is kind of a no-brainer for this one. You know, obviously, big water support, Water Imperil. Awesome breaker in Clash of Wills. He's kind of got everything. He even has 200% Dragon Killer in the kit for the party. So he's kind of got a lot going for him on this one as well. Tifa here just bringing the big boom damage. And then I threw Malphasi in there because she falls under Lightning's leader skill and because she can supply a 40% Fist Imperil for Tifa. Because otherwise we're stuck just using Tifa's 30% Imperil, which really isn't all that impressive. So a 40% Fist Imperil will just help Tifa deal a little bit extra damage. Now I will say I haven't actually gone in and built this team out. I did just really quickly look at Tifa and like try to build her a little bit, and she is absolutely dreadful. Now you may be looking at that nearly 25,000 attack. That is because Lightning has a 1,000% leader skill in Clash of Wills. So that is with a 1,000% attack buff. But even with that 25,000 attack, her killers are absolutely dreadful. Now I gave her Ifrit for the Beast Overkiller. It would probably be smarter to actually put Odin on her, because she already hits Beast Killer pretty easily, so I'll probably end up swapping that over to Odin. But yeah, like trying to build this chick for the killers for this one is just absolutely abysmal. It is dreadful. She's got the Beast Killer in her kit, and that's pretty much it. She has no innate aquatic, no innate dragon killer, and so yeah, like in cases like this, it probably makes less sense to try and cap her attack. And instead, like, I would take out the Subservient and I'd probably put in more killers, because the killers are probably going to make a bigger difference here. But even with all that, like, it's really difficult to build her maxed out on attacking killers with this one. I honestly don't think you can. Even if you roll like super high attack stats on both of your fists, I don't know that you can cap attack and cap killers with this chick. It's just too hard. Maybe somebody can. I don't know if it's worth it. I mean, I'm only going to be using her to clear a level 99's no mods, but if someone wants to use her in a rank 1 clear, they might actually have to do some maths or chuck her in the builder on FFBE equip or something like that and see what comes out as the best build. Anyways, that's just how I built her for a level 99 no mods clear. All right, so yeah, that's my 3-turn kill. Because the way the last few bosses have been going, it's like usually if you can't first turn kill, usually it's like a 3-turn. Like the bosses kind of like, you know, drop its defenses every 3 turns. That's been sort of the standard boss AI for the last several Clash of Wills. Another sign that the team is just kind of on autopilot. But maybe it'll be a 4-turn. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. But it'll probably be at least a 3-turn because Nickel has the 3-turn ramping amp, and so he'll want to give that to either Lightning or Malphasy. So it'll at least take 3 turns for that amp to hit 100%. So yeah, that's where I'm at on that one. As for my rank 1 team, I'm not entirely confident in this team. This is what I have so far. It's very similar to my first turn kill team, except obviously we'll need a tank. Like I mentioned earlier, I was thinking I might try Esther as an Omni tank and just build her for high water and dark resist, and then obviously she's already very bulky as it is, and so she should be able to handle the physical stress. But even if she can't Omni tank, then I'll just make her a pure physical tank, and we'll figure out how to immune the rest of it. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on a tank. If it looks like we're going to need more magic tank for whatever reason, then I'll swap Abby in her place. Again, we're keeping Roka for the leader skill. We're keeping Melissa for killers, morale fill, Elisperis for breaks, and then, you know, the primary DPS units are going to be Ibarra and Hio, because they're still my strongest damage dealers. Like I haven't been pulling on units for very much, so like my roster is starting to look a little bit old and outdated, but hopefully they can still get us through. We're gonna find out. Not really sure if they're gonna get through, but this is gonna be just like my first attempt to get in there and see if this team can score me a rank 1, and if it can't, I'll try to figure something out. If I don't get rank 1, I'm honestly not worried about it. Not worried about it. All right, so speaking of tanks, let's take a look at some options here. So if this battle was going to require more of a magic tank, obviously Abigail is still top tier. You know, Abigail just tanks everything with ease, and her 85% mitigations just mean she can basically tank anything she wants. So obviously Abigail is going to be top of the charts if you want a magic tank. She also brings a lot of great utility and support in Clash of Wills. Cecil, he's probably not the best for this one, but if you wanted to bring a light team, because the boss does have light as one of its quote-unquote weaknesses, it's probably going to be a neutral weakness. But if you did want to bring a light team, like you wanted to bring your Noctis or whatever, and you wanted to continue using a light team, then he might still be able to tank things for you. You know, he's great with elemental resists. And so, you know, he should be able to tank the magic damage with ease. Then you just got to figure out how to deal with the physical stuff, right? Celeste is a highlight here because she can mitigate against both Aquan and... she can mitigate against Aquan enemies. So, and she does 80% general mitigation, 80% magic mitigation, 80% to both physical and magic aquatic damage. So yeah, keep that in mind. So she's pretty good on that one. Just something maybe to keep in your back pocket. Obviously Elena, you know, she still works just fine as a magic tank for pretty much any occasion, and she's got the great leader skill that allows you to bring any Clash of Wills unit if you didn't pick up Ong. Ong, of course, has the strictly better leader skill for Clash of Wills units, but if you don't have him, you know, Elena in a pinch can still work out for you and allow you to bring pretty much any Clash of Wills unit you want. I put Maeve here more just as a probably as a level 99 no mods tank. She can do your physical tanking for you or your magic tanking. She's got Beast and Dragon Killers in the kit, Beast and Dragon Mitigations. She's got Mirage in the kit. She actually has a lot going for her in this particular fight. It's just the problem is her mitigations, her general mitigation is really low for herself. And she's just, yeah, she's just not as bulky as tanks need to be these days for a rank 1 Clash of Wills. So I doubt she's going to be featured in a rank 1. I could be wrong. It just depends on what the boss does, but I think she should be more than viable in a level 99 no mods clear. As long as you give her a decent leader skill, like a 750 defense and spirit leader skill, I think she should do just fine in a no mods clear. All right, and that's pretty much it for our magic tanks. We're probably, however, going to need a physical tank just based on the news and the information that we're getting. All right, so of course, Best Bunny Girl Esther, still one of the best physical tanks in the game. Runda is arguably the best physical tank. He's kind of like the Abigail of physical tanks, mainly because of the 85% mitigations, right? So 85% general mit, 85% physical mit on his SLB. You just can't beat that. Like that 85% general mitigation is just massive, massive damage reduction compared to other tanks out there. So, yeah, I mean, you know, Esther and Runda still top tier in that regard. Now, if you're going a full water team, Jekt might actually be a really good option here for a physical tank. He's a very, very good physical tank. He can even deal some damage if you want him to, if you're bringing a leader skill for water, but he does require a water leader skill. It has to be water. He doesn't have any kind of cow tags or anything like that. They didn't give him any cow buff, so it has to be a water leader skill in order to bring him on the party. If you are going for light element, you could potentially bring Fledgling Warrior, and I want to point him out because he does physical mitigations to aquatic and dragon, 75%, but, and I think that's, yeah, 75% aquatic and dragon. Now, notice the general mitigations are still a bit low, 70% general mitigation. That's pretty low, but with those racial mits to 2 of the boss's enemy types, that could make up for it. So it's something to keep in mind in your back pocket, especially for like a level 99 no mods clear. Again, I doubt he'll see use in a rank 1 clear, but maybe, I don't know. I honestly don't know. And again, Maeve is here because she can do physical tanking. All right, I already kind of talked about her in the last one, but that's why she's here. She kind of fits in both categories for you. All right. As for support units, I'm really just focusing on the killers, sort of the killer support. So probably the top billing for this one, and this is probably why she's on the banner with Zyrus, is Princess of Cornelius Sarah. I just happened to pick up one of these on an ad summons. You can UOC her from the Replica Lapis shops. So she's been in the Replica Lapis shops now for the last 2 or 3 shops, I think. So you can UOC her. I know a lot of people did because they were expecting the Dark Visions this month to be the one that came out, you know, the one that was supposed to be next in line was supposed to be an aquatic boss as the final boss, and so a lot of people in anticipation for that went ahead and picked up this unit, UOC'd her from the NV Select from the Repless Lapica shop, and did I say Repless Lapica shop? That's what I'm gonna start calling it, Repless Lapica shop. I'm gonna start calling it that from now on. A lot of people picked up Sarah in anticipation for that, and then Gumi was just like, oh, nope, sorry, we're not doing Dark Visions. And, yeah. So, I mean, I guess you can still use her in this Clash of Wills if you want. She does count as a regular focus unit. And she provides 250% killers to aquatic and dragon, all right? And these are the ones that are single target and only last for 2 turns, but you can give both of those killers to one, you know, your top damage dealer. You give both of those killers again to your second DPS unit the following turn on your burst turn, and there you go. So she could be very, very useful in that particular case. She also has Enlight, so if you're going to go with like a light team, all right, she can be your light imbue, like if the boss dispels you or something like that. She can do that for you. Unfortunately, I don't think she has any kind of... She has ailment removal, but she doesn't have ailment resistance buff, which is that's kind of bad on a healer support unit. I just noticed that. Why does she not have any kind of ailment resistance buff? Like, usually they at least give these units Veil, you know, that like general magic skill Veil that puts up immunity to like the basic status ailments. They didn't even give her that. I'm just noticing that now. That's pretty bad, because that would have been at least one way she could generate morale for you every turn, because otherwise otherwise she's kind of a dead slot. She brings the killers. Obviously she has buffs on her LB, right, and her SLB. Her SLB does 150% killers, and the 300% buff, 250% LB buff. Yeah. But wow, I just noticed that, yeah, she doesn't have any ailment resist in her kit. Okay, that seems like an oversight. Like a healer buffer should definitely have ailment resist in their kit, but whatever. Obviously Melissa is huge on this one. I mean, come on, she's got like everything going on. She's got morale gen going on for you. She's got your ailment resistance. She can do that every turn. That's going to be filling morale for you every turn. Obviously she's got the dark buff, or the dark imbue with the amp on it. She's got party mitigations to beast and dragon, which is huge. She's got obviously the killers to dragon and beast, which you can cast every turn. Yeah, I mean, she's got everything on. She's got the imbue, of course. You can imbue the boss, and when you're in Clash of Wills, she has the other one that does a 3-turn imbue. The 3-turn imbue also comes with a 60% amp to your party. Don't forget that, because that can be very, very useful for dealing damage. And then, of course, she's got the ramping amp, the 100% ramping amp. She can use that twice during the battle. Like, if you don't bring Melissa to the party, I don't know what you're smoking. Like, I mean, she's going to be really good for this fight. It hasn't mentioned anything about the boss using zombies, so like I don't see any reason why that would be a handicap in this particular fight. So yeah, bring Melissa. Like, there's no reason not to. Nickel, I've already mentioned, he's good because he does have elemental power water. If you have him at EX2, he can do 50% Imperil field by summoning Leviathan. He does have, in his Brave Shift form, he does have the 100% Beast and Aquatic Killer. And if you have him EX3, he has Aquatic Slayer, which is 160% Aquatic Killer. But you do have to have him EX3 for that. EX2 for the 100% Amp, EX3 for the Aquatic Slayer. But yeah, I mean, otherwise he's a good buffer and an imbuer for water, so, you know, he's definitely someone to keep your eye on. Vina Dark Lineage might be worth it because she's you know, good for the buffs. She has the ailment resistance, so there you go. So here's like a healer support unit that actually has what she needs, and so she can use that to help you fill morale. She's more of a fire support unit, which fire is technically one of the quote-unquote weaknesses. It's probably a neutral weakness, but if you're doing a level 99 no mods clear, that could be helpful, because she can imbue your party with fire and do the 100% amp. But she also has the killers to go along. So she's got Dragon Killer 160% and Beast Killer 160%. And she even has a 250% Beast Killer buff. Now keep in mind, those do not have full uptime. It's a 5-turn cooldown, but only 3 turns uptime, so they do not have full uptime. However, you can use Melissa in conjunction with Melissa. Although, honestly, no, if you're bringing... Never mind. Forget what I said. If you're bringing Melissa, Melissa's doing all of your killers. So forget what I said. She also has this little ability that is an Omni Amp for all elements, which is kind of neat to have. And then she does have this really unique skill that I like. It's just it's a perfect dispel on your party. So it removes all the debuffs on your party, which is kind of nice. But yeah, that's about all she has going for her in this fight. But that's more than most. Roberta will hopefully see some use in this one. I mean, you know, Roberta and Zyrus, they do have that history together, so hopefully Roberta will see some use here. Roberta, of course, is good for the Dragon Killers and Aquan Killers. She has both of those in her kit. They're only 150%, but they are for the whole party, and you can basically use them on demand. So that's really useful. If you are going fire element, she of course has the fire support, but you're probably not. And yeah, she's just a general all-around good support unit. I love especially like her LB, which does a 350% full buff and a 300% LB damage buff for 5 turns. And that's all non-dispellable, which is really great. Like both the stat buffs and the LB damage buff, both are undispellable, which is fantastic. Like I don't know if the boss is planning on dispelling this, but if he does, like, that basically handles, makes sure your buffs never go away, which is really cool. She's also got Imperil removal in her kit, which is really cool. That's on a 5-turn cooldown, but then I think Draconic Triune also does that. So yeah, so Draconic Triune has like a perfect dispel on the party. So, you know, she's got a lot of cool things going in her kit. She can fill some morale for you as well. So, you know, and she can do some chaining. So she does the tag chaining, right? She does the quad cast tag chaining. So if you're using finishers instead of chainers for your DPS unit, she can just build up a chain for days and let your let your finishers just kind of cap within the chain. So yeah, I mean, hopefully she'll see some use in this one, especially because a lot of people probably have her at like EX2 or EX3. Last but not least, we've got Rosa. Rosa's really just here because she does the 250% dragon killer, and also she can be sort of like your light support unit if you want. So yeah, she does the Prayer of Dragonbane. She can also do Enlightga. Yeah, there it is, Enlightga. But similar to Sarah, I'm just realizing again, I don't think she has any way of boosting your ailment resistance. Yeah, like, what is with this? You can't have a healer support unit without ailment resistance. It's so silly. What is this? I don't understand. Like, how do they get away with this? How do you call yourself a healer if you don't... Like, she can't even remove... Oh my gosh, she can't even remove ailment resistance. So if you get ailments, she can't even remove them for you. Oh gosh. All right. Yep. Well, you know, I don't know. Maybe you'll see her in some first turn kills, because she can do the Omni Killer. If you get her to EX2, she does the Omni Killer, and then you just give your top DPS units the Dragon Killers to go with it. So yeah, maybe you'll see her in like a level 99 no mods clear. I don't know. Anyways, I was just running out of room for units. Also, let me just say, this is not an exhaustive list. This is just like some of the units I had on hand, and I just, you know, I'm just throwing them in here. For breakers for this one, you know, I've already talked about Elisperis and Kaito. Elisperis and Kaito are obviously going to be like the top 2 breakers for this Clash of Wills. You could potentially get away with bringing Metzi in here. Especially, you know, people might bring Metzi if they're doing a water team, because Metzi will be your Focus Plus unit, and, you know, Metzi brings your breaks and your Imperil fields and all that jazz. So I could see Metzi being on there. I don't have Metzi personally, so I can't really put Metzi on the list. But, you know, I'll sort of do an honorable mention to Metzi. Chaos Bismarck, who comes out probably next week, will also be a breaker to consider on this list. But if you have Elisperis, Chaos Bismarck is nothing special. Like, Elisperis beats Chaos Bismarck right out of the gate, unless they do some kind of global buffs, which they probably won't, because the global team is just like, they're checked out. They're phoning everything in at this point, so I would not expect any kind of global buffs. So if you have Elisperis, you can basically forget Chaos Bismarck even exists. But other than that, if you're just like struggling and you don't have any of those units, and you're just like, oh man, I just need somebody to do like a level 99 clear, I just need a breaker for like one of these elements, here's some breakers you can consider. Red-Eyed Sage Soul is good for a dark breaker, because he does, I think he does a 150 Imperil with an 89 break and a 40% Imperil field. I think it might be only 30%. But he does have an Imperil with an Imperil field and 89% breaks. So definitely, if you have him lying around and you're struggling to find a dark breaker, there you go. Avon is good for fire and light. He can do an 89% defense and spirit break, and he can do 150 Imperil to fire and light with a 40% Imperil field to fire and light. So keep that one in mind as well. Ingus is kind of an oldie but goodie here. He actually hits 2 of the elements in play. One of them, the main weakness, which is going to be water. So he can actually do, actually, before I misstate, I can't remember what it is actually. Is it it's a 145% to fire water, and then 30% Imperil field to fire water with an 88 and 89% break, which in Clash of Wills, that's honestly good enough, because the boss has 100% passive stats. So higher breaks don't necessarily mean tremendously higher damage like it does in Dark Vision. So an 88% defense break or an 89% defense break, that's perfectly good. The Imperils are more important. So Ingus can actually, you know, he if you've got one lying around, and you know, preferably have him at EX2, he could actually be pretty helpful, especially for like for those turn 1 first turn kill strategies. All right. Axstar, the return. Again, this is expecting Dark to be the main weakness. You know, he's another sort of oldie, but he's a breaker. He does a big Dark Imperil, and he brings Beast Killer to the party. So if you don't have another Beast Killer on the party, he kind of like does some roll compression there with the Imperil, Breaks, and the Beast Killer all in one. So that's something to consider there, is Axstar, the return. In a similar vein, we've got Laguna. Laguna can do, let me see, where is it? It says if you crowned this ability, it does a 160% Water Imperil with an 89% Defense and Spirit Break. That's about all he has going for him, though. He doesn't really have much else. He doesn't have any killers or anything like that. He doesn't really deal damage. But if you have that one crowned ability, you know, he does have that going for him. Gilgamesh is another one. He's just a Dark Breaker. You notice I haven't even bothered to like upgrade this guy, but he does have a 160 Dark Imperil. The killer's wrong, but who cares? And then he's got an 89% defense break with an 87% spirit break. I'm not sure if he has like a special break in here. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Does he have like a special break? He does, doesn't he? Oh, it's just an 88% break. Doesn't even have the Imperil on it. So yeah, I guess you'd have to wait for his SLB for the big Imperil, but it's an option. Just saying, it's an option out there. There might be other breakers out there, I don't know, but that's just what I came up with. And yeah, I think honestly that's it. I'm not going to do DPS units because honestly, like, my roster is so old. I don't even have any of the latest. I think the most up-to-date damage dealers I have are like Beryl and Hio. Beryl, Hio, and Frosty are like my most up-to-date damage dealers, really. So, but if you have like Ong, or if you have Chow, like the latest Chow from the Halloween banner, Chow will undoubtedly be really strong in this one. You know, the Ong Chow combo is going to be really strong. Obviously, if you have Envy plus Laswell, bring him along if you're doing a water team. If you're planning on pulling for Zyrus, obviously he's going to be like an I win button for this one, I think. You know, being an Envy plus unit, he's probably just going to come in and literally do all the damage for you. Unless they decide to tune this Clash of Wills for Envy plus. You know, we only have 3 Envy plus units in the game, and one of those is a Envy plus Awakening, and that's Tifa. The only like real Envy plus units we have are Laswell and Zyrus. So I can't imagine that they're gonna tune the boss to like Envy plus level damage. But the thing is, like, Envy plus units basically hit as hard as like a normal Clash of Wills unit does. So they'll probably just keep it the same, because like for example, Laswell's LB mod, total LB mod, if you do an LB within the first 5 turns, is 730 times modifier. But like, we have Clash of Wills units like Hio and Ayabrea. They're hitting like 900 times LB mods. Now, of course, they don't have the 600% stat passives. They don't have the 500% LB damage buff. But still, it's like, my hope is that they're not just going to tune this boss like crazy, you know, expecting people are going to have at least one Neovision Plus unit for this Clash of Wills. But it is the last boss of the season. They're typically the hardest of the season. So who knows? They may just decide to crank up the Defense and Spirit and say, screw you guys, pull for Envy Plus or get out. And in which case, I'm out. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna bother going for rank 1. So we'll just have to see what they do with the tuning on this one. But I'm thinking you'll probably be able to get away with doing this one without Envy Plus units on the party, but they might start tuning the bosses more and more to Envy Plus. So we'll just have to see how that shakes out. But anyways, that is my cow prep video. Hopefully this was helpful to you guys. And yeah, I mean, not much else to say about this week. Not much going on. So I will see you after maintenance, and we'll get in there and see what this Clash of Wills is all about. So thank you guys so much for following me, and I will see you on the other side.